The 1973 Constitution and the Dictatorship. Almost immediately the convention became controversial. The delegates concentrated more on speeches and giving themselves allowances before actually sitting down to discuss the provision of the new constitution. Meanwhile, the peace and order situation brought about by the first quarter storm deteriorated with student rallies and other protests rocking the metropolis. He abolished Congress and reorganized the government. Several days later, the convention was reconvened and a draft constitution was finally finished and approved on November 30. Instead of being ratified by a plebiscite, however, Marcos submitted it to the citizen assemblies that was formed to approve or reject the new constitution. The 1973 Constitution provided for a parliamentary form of government in which the president was the symbolic head of state and the prime minister was the head of government. The prime minister, who was nominated by the president, acted as head of the cabinet. In 1981, amendments were made for the 1973 Constitution and the president was restored from a symbolic head of state to its original status as the head of state and chief executive of the country. The amended constitution also granted the president several powers and functions which were originally vested in the prime minister and the cabinet. It was abolished with adoption of the 1986 Freedom Constitution by the administration of President Corazon Aquino.
Good day, everyone. I am MRC Tinaha, and the topic that I will be discussing is about the, the 1987 Constitution after martial law attempts to amend or change the 1987 Constitution. So let's get started. So what is Constitution? So it is the written instrument by which a fundamental powers of the government are established, limited and defined, and by which these powers are distributed among several departments or branches for their safe and useful exercise for the benefit of the people. So when we say constitution, it is the fundamental powers of the government and the limited and defined, and it is being distributed fairly in the several departments or branches. So next is the nature and purposes. So first, it serves as the supreme or fundamental law. Second, it establishes the basic framework and underlying principles of government. So, the Freedom Constitution of President Corazon C. Aquino. So, President Corazon C. Aquino issued Proclamation Number 3, adopting a temporary constitution for the Philippines. So, this constitution called Freedom Constitution, which took effect on March 25, 1986, a month of a month after the People Power Revolution. So, ang Freedom Constitution, it is being issued by the President Corazon Aquino, issued sa Proclamation number 3 adopting the temporary Constitution of the Philippines. So, muna yung atong ginatawag of Freedom of Constitution nga kuan siya who took an effect or na, na na-implement siya atong March 25, 1986. So, the framing and ratification of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. On April 1986, President Aquino issued proclaimed the number 9, creating a constitutional draft of a new constitution as provided in the Freedom Constitution. So, President Corazon C. Aquino addressed the opening session on June 2 in 1986 at the former Balansang pambansa building. So second is debates and heated arguments took place. The third one is on October 12, 1986, the Constitutional Commission finished its work and the draft said constitution was submitted to the President on October 15, 1986. On February 2, 1987, the plebiscite of the charter ratification was held. So many 76.37% will vote yes and 22.65% will vote no. So on February 2, 1987, the new constitution was ratified and was being effective. The significant features of constitution, we have three. So sovereignty of the people, the first, the second, supremacy of civilian authority over military, and third, separation of powers. So what is sovereignty of the people? So sovereignty of people, on Article 2, Section 1, the Philippines is a democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates all from them. So we know that our country we are a democratic country and a republican state. So that's why the sovereignty resides in the people and all governments emanates from them. So second is the supremacy of civilian authority over the military. So in section 3, the civilian authority is at all times supreme over the military. The armed forces of the Philippines is the protector of the people and the state. Its goal is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. So, is talk about the protection or to secure the sovereignty of the state. So the third one is the separation of powers. So we have three branches of the government. We have the executive department, legislative department, and the judicial department. In the executive, we have the president. So they are the one who implements or approves the law. In the legislative department, we have Congress. So they enact laws. In judicial department, we have Supreme Court. They are the one who decide the cases.
Attempts to amend or change the 1987 Constitution. Under the 1987 Constitution, a people's initiative cannot introduce constitutional revisions but only amendments. The court held that changing the form of government from presidential to parliamentary or abolishing a house of Congress like the Senate are revisions which cannot be done by a people. So how was the 1987 Constitution amended? So amendments to this Constitution may likewise be directly proposed by the people through initiative upon a petition of at least 12% of total number of registered voters, of which every legislative district must be represented by at least 3% of the registered voters therein. Attempts to amend or change the 1987 Constitution. Under the 1987 Constitution, a people's initiative cannot introduce constitutional revisions but only amendments. The court held that changing the form of government from presidential to parliamentary or abolishing a house of Congress like the Senate are revisions which cannot be done by a people. So how was the 1987 Constitution amended? So amendments to this Constitution may likewise be directly proposed by the people through initiative upon a petition of at least 12% centum of total number of registered voters, of which every legislative district must be represented by at least 3 per centum of the registered voters therein.